introduce myself a second time. I'm Bill Buckman from Jersey. I don't, you know, what a hard act to follow, all these folks. I don't have a lot to add. One of my earliest memories of conceiving of embarrassment or being at a loss was watching the Ed Sullivan Show when the Beatles were on, and seeing that poor guy try and do Topo Gigio as a follow-up. I'm Topo Gigio today, so you know, I'll talk like this if you want me to. I was going to say, give me, you know, trust me. I was going to say what Mr. Miller said and what Eric said, or not as well, but I was going to talk about a lot of that stuff. Yeah, it's sort of like the chickens have come home to roost. Exactly 2 years to this day, I believe. I was in Florida giving a speech at a very dear friend's wedding. He had so many friends, he picked two best men, and I got up first, and I gave a very flowery, emotional invocation, and I remember seeing this poor guy coming up after me. He said, "Thanks, you just read my my toast." So I'm being paid back to some extent. Let me tell you why some of us, at least, have to lobby, why some of us have to get out there. You know, and you'll forgive me because now my outline is like a Swiss cheese. You know what the drug war is all about. These bastards that are fighting the drug war, they don't care about health. They don't care about kids' lives, or they raise the specter of kids being on drugs, because if they cared about health, if they cared about human beings' lives, they wouldn't have turned a deaf ear to AIDS. They wouldn't be tolerating the fact that in numerous boroughs in New York, that by the end of this century, the AIDS infection rate might be as high as 50%. This isn't about health. This is the most convenient reason for the right wing to suspend the Bill of Rights. That's what the drug war is. The drug war is their excuse to suspend the Bill of Rights. And let's face it, for the last 11 years, a strong minority of right-wing kooks have been in positions of power in this country, and they have taken the podium and the ear of the media along with it. And what we have is a nation, many of which, or probably the great majority of which, the people are moderate, the people are fair-minded, and they will listen. Well, what has happened is, just like during the McCarthy years, a small, vocal, right-wing minority has gotten into power, and they are controlling the agenda. We have to have a voice everywhere in society, and legislatures and legislative bodies are one of the places that we have to speak up. A friend of mine once shared with me a piece of information that his dad gave to him. We were at some male bonding group one night, and this guy luckily had a good story to tell about his dad. And his dad, I think in the late 40s, had been present at what was an ugly crowd about to become a lynching. And my friend's dad said, "You know, Ken, crowd hysteria is a strange thing. And a lynching is the worst example of crowd hysteria. But sometimes it only takes one person to stand up in the middle of that crowd and say, no, you're not going to do it like this. You're not going to commit this type of act." We have witnessed for the last 11 years the lynching of the Bill of Rights. And whether we like it or not, we're the only voices in the crowd that are going to have to stand up and say, you're not going to do away with it this way. It doesn't have to be done, because the hysteria that has been created in America is a hysteria we've alluded to, especially those of us who are lawyers and professionals, feel every day. There are a lot of people out there who believe in us, who are sympathetic to us, who are now, like the McCarthy era, scared to come forward. It is personally detrimental. There are many times when I get in my car after battling the state police as an attorney in New Jersey, where I wonder if they'll pull me over and plant something in my car, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we have to go forward, we have to wade into these crowds and gatherings and talk rationally and talk about the type of things that are going to diffuse the hysteria, and legislators are one place to start. We spent a lot of time in Jersey, and I don't have to go over technique like these other folks have done, because they've done it a lot better than me. But I will stress one thing, I think that both Eric and Mr. Miller said, and that is play the game. Play the game. I speak to jurors every day, and that's why I say that I think that there's a hard core of moderate people in this country. If I get beyond the things that turn them off so that they can just hear me, they'll start listening. It is a rush to me to start off with a jury, because in America, you're guilty until proven innocent, and this drug thing is guilty until proven innocent. So I got to accept that. So it is a rush to me in front of a jury to see them start off with the body language, cross their legs, move away from me, and by the end of the proceeding, lean into me, think about it with their hands on their chins, and then vote not guilty. Because we can do that with people, but we've got to play the game. 90% of all arguments, and I say this again as a lawyer having heard some of these statistics, 85% of all criminal cases, most cases for that matter, are won or lost before lawyers even give opening statements.